All right. And people can hear us, so. I think they can hear us. So someone had commented on this already, too. I'm just curious what they said. Very cool. Didn't actually intend that as a pun, tooling around, but I guess this is definitely tooling around, wouldn't it be? All right. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cooking with Unity. I'm your host, Maximilian Moreau. With me is Jeffrey Hawthorne. And we've got the Unity beta tonight, so we're going to be playing around with that thing. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're playing around with the Unity beta. Let's see what we can make. How is everyone? They're not going to talk to me, are they? That's right.
We can check the comments.
Yeah, we'll check the comments in 5 minutes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just say "yay" really loud so we can hear you. So, or something. I don't know. Unity. Oh, we need a new project. So, let's just call this, let's put this on the desktop, and let's call it 4.6, actually let's call it Unity Beta Tooling Around. Sure, why not? And I think I set it up as a 3D project. That's fine. We can always change that again if we need to. So this is Unity beta thingy, so it's awesome. So it looks a lot like our old Unity. There are some notable differences that I have found. One of the big ones is if you click on this Create menu, it says Create Empty right here. It's super awesome. It's about time. You used to have to go to this menu to create an empty or an empty child. Well, actually, this didn't even exist before, like 4.4 or something. But anyway, it's now here. We always complain about this. We don't have to complain about it anymore. And it's got like all our objects like organized and stuff. So like if you go to UI, you've got this whole UI section. That's probably why they bothered to revamp this, is because when they just dumped all this stuff into the list, it was like, oh, we have to do something. It's like huge. But they did something, so that's great. So let's see what we got. I don't know how their UI system works at all. So let's play with it a little bit and see what we get. I'm going to try panel. I think panel is probably the base component. So we got this panel here. What's a panel? All right, so it's taking up the full screen. That's cool. Does it take up the full screen no matter where we put it? Oh, whoa. Oh, it's a panel with something in it. Oh, it's a canvas with a panel in it. All right. Yes, we are going to have to do some learning on this, aren't we? So, am I actually showing the screen? I'm not showing the screen. All right. Well, it's been a couple weeks, so. So anyway, all I was doing was I was commenting on this menu here while you were staring at my face, commenting on it. It now has Create Empty and Create Empty Child in it, and it has all this nice organization, including UI. And I created a panel which created a canvas and a panel. And I think the canvas represents like the rendering area, and the panel represents what we're rendering on it. So we can move it around and like a normal game object. Now I'm curious, if I move the canvas, does it actually change the way it renders? I can't move the canvas. That's how they get you. All right, that's interesting. I can move it into Z. I can undo, and it does nothing. So, hold on. Undoing movement in the Z didn't fix anything. Some values driven by canvas. So, by some values they mean position X and position Y and not position Z, but you can't seem to change position Z. Change it here. No, I can't. Not even sure if I'm supposed to be able to change position Z, quite frankly, at this point, because I can do it here. Also, those are not in world space. Those are in some magical pixel position stuff.
What's in anchors?
Anchors. Alright, so let's actually play. So we've got this thing. Let's pretend we can't move it. I'm going to actually create a new one that doesn't have any Z information on it. Create UI panel. And so we've got images. Let's create a button on here. UI button. So we got a button on there. It's cool. It's on our panel. And so it's got some anchors here. So if we hit play right now, where does it end up? Ends up kind of where we put it. So, anchors, min, max. These look like floating point values that represent. So, 0, 0. If I just do that, and we change. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's the little anchor tool thing that they were talking about. So Unity has this neat little doohickey. They had a cool name for it. I think it was the power flower is I think what they called it internally. But basically this allows you to set up how an object is anchored. And so I think that might be what this edge here is too, but yeah, I think it is. Alright, so we can change the way the button anchors. So this is the actual anchor on the button itself. So this is like the pivot point. So like if we change the anchor to like 0 on the side here, and then we rotate this thing. That didn't do anything. Alright, I lied. If we rotate this thing. No, that's just the text. 0.5. So if I wanted to get this thing to be inside of... Oh, this is awesome. We've got buttons that can do things really quickly, don't we? Let's test this real quick. So I'm going to create a C# script. We're going to call this button test. And this is going to test how easy it is to make buttons do things now. So we're just going to create a new thing called void test button, and we'll print debug.log. We press a button, yay. Not very exciting what this is going to do, but I just want to see how easy it is to actually do it, because I think it's going to be really easy if my memory of Unite serves me. That was weird. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this button test to our button, and we're going to click on plus here, and we can use, okay, so we're on our button, and then the function we want is button test. Oh, wow. Look at all these toys. So ironically, it doesn't have our one thing that we put in there, but if we make this public, maybe it will show up in there now. Save. Let's give that a shot. So button, function, button test button, there it is. So if we hit play, and we click on our console and we click our button, we pressed a button, yay! We pressed it 3 or 4 times. We didn't press it that 5th time because we canceled our click. It's kind of weird. Oh, I see, it has a highlight state. So highlight state, down state, up state, not highlighted state. Interesting. Cool. And that was pretty much effortless to actually hook into codes. That's great. And it looks like you can hook it into a lot of cool stuff. It looks like you can actually, like... So you can send messages here. Let's see. Send message takes a string as a parameter, so you can say what thing to send. You can, like, I don't know what this would do. Evidently, you can, like, change values of things as well. So if it's like bool enabled, so we could probably make it so that this button disables itself. So if I hit play and click the button, oh, okay, so it disabled that script. Perfect. Is there a way to do a toggle on it? Doesn't look like it. Not a big deal. You could always write your own toggle, but I just was curious because it's interesting. You can actually. So it looks like any public property or function can be accessed by this on-click handler. So that's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. How do I get rid of? Oh, there we go. Select it and then hit remove. There, cool. All right, cool. So that's how buttons work. That's super easy. I want to figure out how anchoring works. So I'm going to actually move this thing to the right. I'm going to move this to like the corner here. Oops. That would be a rotate. I'm going to use the new 2D move tool. So if you click this as the 2D move tool, now you can use it for both types of objects, I think. So 2D and 3D objects, and that was just the text. I want the whole thing. There we go. So, oh, it has all these guides and stuff. That's nice. That's super nice. So I'm going to put it in the corner here, and we're going to hit play. It shows up in the corner. Stopped showing up in the corner when we resized. So let's see. If I hit play again, yeah, it's not showing up in the corner. If I do free aspect, how does this work? All right. So that's a good example of a button that's not, and it's interesting that this background here kind of changes based on how we do this stuff. So let's see if we can anchor this to the corner somehow. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move this button here, and I'm going to actually move the anchor to the corner, and I'm going to hit play. And now, haha, that was easy. We've got a button anchored on the corner. That's actually really cool. So the reason that this thing is kind of splittable is you can actually kind of make it, I don't know exactly what this does. I saw someone do it in the demos at the presentations. They use this basically to set a center for the object, so that when you like resized, say, a window element, it would keep all of the elements of that window in the proper places and stuff. I imagine this is actually really powerful and interesting, the way that we can work with this thing. I'm just going to try doing this just to see what it does and hit play. Yeah, I didn't think that was... Oh! Changed the way that it resized. Did you see the button actually changed its dimensions now? So before, when we had this thing anchored directly as a corner anchor, when we'd hit play, the button would... No, it's still resizing. So I think it resizes both up and down. No, it doesn't resize up. Why is it not staying in the corner, actually? What did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't keep that change? Oh, it was in play mode. So if we put this actually in the corner, and we put our button actually in the... I don't think we... Like, if we want to anchor to the lower right-hand corner, we can now put this anywhere, and it will keep that amount of space on the edges and maintain that space. And right now, because it's a single point, it will do no resizing on the button. The button will always say the same size on the screen. And so if we instead make it so that this is at the borders of the object, this will now become a resizable thing. So this will still be anchored to the corner, but it will take up a percentage of the screen. So you can see that the button's now resizing both vertically and horizontally.
It showed the percentage when you were
Yes.
dragging the anchor also.
Yeah. So the percentages represented here are actually what it's saving, not the actual position. So these percentages show how much of the screen that this button will always take off. So if we do this, it will always take up 16% of the screen vertically and 17% of the screen horizontally. It does not matter how we organize the screen. At least I don't think it does. Like if we... Let's find out, actually. I'm going to resize this. As you can see, it resized the canvas in there while we did this. Yep, 17% and still 16%, so that's right. Cool. So yeah, so that's how anchoring works. That's about as easy as it gets. The current canvas here is designed to be screen space overlay, which I think means it will... I don't know what camera is. Okay, here we go. So screen space overlay automatically fills this thing to the screen. Screen space camera fills it to the screen, and you specify a render camera, and you specify a distance to the plane, which I think is just how far away this is from the camera. And the reason that you could do this is if you needed to render something, say, on a layer, or you needed to render it to a texture, but basically you needed elements to actually be occluded by things in front of them. Overlay will always be above things, from what I'm guessing. At least that's how I would assume that it would work. And world space probably allows you to just work it like a normal object. At this point, we can actually change the positions and the width and height, and we can actually move the position in the world because it actually is just an object that you can play with now. But things that are on it will still size and do things accordingly. So now if we go to game, you'll see that we only see a corner of it because our camera's not set up for it. Which means that if you just need a background, if you just need a GUI, probably what you're going to be going for most of the time is the default here, which is screen space overlay. But if you need this thing to actually be a 3D object in your game, you can actually use world space and just use the anchoring capabilities on the canvas, which is very nice. Graphic Raycaster. What is this? I'm going to quit this thing. How do I quit it? Quit. There we go. Alright, whatever I clicked on didn't like. Yeah, I don't think that's a real script. I'm gonna have to look up Graphic Raycaster now. Graphic Raycaster. Unity 4.6. I guess that's just how they do the positioning. It's actually a raycast-based system. It's interesting. Ignore reversed graphics. I wonder what that means. Does it tell me if I mouse over it? Blocking objects, 2D, 3D, and all. I love how they couldn't actually call it 2D. Like this is obviously an enum, and enums can't start with a number in C#, so they had to use letters. That's funny. See, everyone has these limitations. So, so blocking mask. So this is like what you can click on, I guess. This is how I think this is all how the well, not necessarily. I don't know what this is all about. I have to do some research as to how the internals of this actually work. But we've got a button. We've got resizing. That's awesome. What other toys do we have in here? What do we got in here? UI, text, image, raw image, sliders, scroll bar. Ooh, scrolling. Let's see how hard it is to make something scroll. So, I think we've got a panel here. And our button's not actually part of our panel. Our button is separate of the panel. If I make this part of the panel, what does it change? Not a whole lot. Source image background. Does this show up anywhere? No, naturally not. So this is sliced. That's cool. I wonder how they... So this is a... If we actually look at this, there's rounded corners here, and they use a sliced system, which is why you can do stuff like, if we don't fill the center, you'll see that this is actually a bordered image. I'm not sure how you actually specify the slices when you're making your own backgrounds for this. We might experiment with that briefly. Actually, let's grab something to play with that, shall we? OpenGameArt.org. And I'm just going to search for UI. And I'm just going to go with CC0. Because I'm lazy today. And we'll search again. UI pack. There's a few of them. That's nice. Let's go with this one. I think it's made by Kenny. It is. We love Kenny. Everyone loves Kenny. I hope that Kenny's getting paid well at whatever his actual job is, because he's not being paid well for his art. So, I'm just going to go ahead and go into, let's see, PNG, sprite sheet. Oh, they've already got a sprite sheet for us. That's nifty. Unity probably cannot auto-cut this sprite sheet because he didn't leave any pixel space on here, so... Although he has some sort of XML that describes how things are organized. I'm just going to go with the PNGs, and we're just going to grab like a window panel. So I'm just going to grab panel blue to start with here. Come on. Oh, it did it. It just didn't feel like it did it. Alright, so panel blue. This one's going to be a... So editor GUI, Lego GUI, sprite, 2D, and UI. That's what we want. Sprite, pixels to units. We'll just do 100 for now. I don't really care. What we want to do is, if we go into our panel here and we use panel blue here. So there's our panel blue. So image type sliced. This image doesn't have a border. Alright, so I'm going to click on Sprite Editor here. Ah, here we go, borders. So we're going to make the left border to right at the edge where the meaningful pixels stop. There we go. So we got those little tears at the edges. Bottom border should be similar situation. I just can't move that naturally. Why can't I move that? I'll just make it bigger. Ah. Minimize. Sprite Editor. Make this thing big. There we go. And top border is right at the edge of the pertinent pixels. And then right border is, again, right at the edge of the pertinent pixels. And we're done. We're just going to close this. Or wait, do I have to do something for this? Alright, I'm going to close it. Apply. Go back in here. And so now if we go to the panel here, and we choose slices, it's already done there. We can choose fill, and you'll see that we no longer have the center fill. So we know that this worked. And we have an outside edge. Where's our little tears? Are they just really hard to see? Here, hold on, let's move the hand around. Oh, there they are. Okay, so it's not tears per se, but yeah, you can barely see they kind of got stretched out real good. But that's fine. It actually did section this out as a window, and that was incredibly effortless to set up. So what this means now is we can use just a picture, and it will stretch things appropriately. So like basically what's happening here is, if we go into the editor again, is these corners are not being stretched at all. These will retain their pixel, these will retain their aspect ratios no matter what you do to the rest of the texture. The center is stretched on all angles, and since it is a solid color, it will always look okay being stretched at all angles. The sides are basically like this side here will stretch as much as you need it to stretch vertically, but will not distort it all horizontally. And these top and this is the same for the right hand side. And the top and bottom ones will stretch horizontally as much as they need to stretch, and vertically they will not stretch at all. So that's what that actually does. And you can see that when we like resize the panel here. If I change the size, that's not the size. If I change the scale on this, you'll see that the edges never get... Oh, wait, maybe I'm lying. Maybe scale's an exception. It probably is. No. Here, let's just try it. I'm just going to set this to like 100, 1000 or something. And we'll find the edges somewhere in 3 space. I just wanted a really extreme example. I probably didn't need a full 1000 for this example. As a matter of fact, let's not do 1000. Let's do 500. Let's do 100. Wow, I'm still not there. Where is it? It's way over there. And I lied. See, it stretched the heck out of it. So where does that leave us? So this is using scaling, which might not do things nicely in the 9-panel setup. If we change instead, so if we instead change the canvas size, well, we can't really. We can by resizing this. So let's do it so that we can change it. We're going to make it world space, and then we're going to resize this panel. Let's make the width like... I imagine scaling will have the same problem, but I want to see what happens if we make the width like 5000. If it's still... Yeah, that didn't resize or jank anything. You can see that that border is still very much the same size as the edge borders. So, so the scale information stuff is not safe for that. That's good to know. Just make sure that on the can. It's too much. Just 2. That'll be enough. Yeah, we can see that it's stretched. Cool. All right. I'm going to switch this back to screen space overlay. That's amazing how easy it was to make that 9-panel window stuff. That's way easier than it used to be. It wasn't too hard before. You've done it before, right? Like you had to do it for one of the projects we were working on at least.
Probably at some point.
Yeah. You've worked with the UI more than I think anyone I know, actually. Like the old Unity UI, which is still supported, but people are not going to be using it much longer after this one. It's not like the... there's things that are still supported that people still use, like the old animation system, that's still supported, and people use it because it's fast. Layout, rect transform, reference resolution, physical resolution. Ooh, those sound interesting. Reference resolution.
Do you know anything about how fast this UI system is compared to the previous one?
No idea. I imagine it's faster. Let me just put it that way. But I'm not sure what the values are. It's interesting that this did change the way that the button looked. Oh, it doesn't update in real time. Move component. What else we got? Layout, physical resolution. What does the physical resolution do? Physical resolution on. Yeah, it definitely changed the way that the text rendered. Didn't change the... That's weird that it... Oh wait, this is on the canvas. Is that where I want to put it? What happens if I just put it on the button? Then we get rid of that. Looks kind of the same. See what happens if we change the default DPI to 40. Yep, nothing. I'm actually super excited that these are here, even though I don't really know how to use them yet, because one of the things that I did not see when they were showing the new UI system was resolution independence. And what I mean by that is, so like right now, we have this set up so that the button will kind of scale with the display scale, and it will always take up the same percentage of the screen. But it's kind of interesting how the resizing is a little bit lazy. I might be asking a lot of it right now. I don't know what we're doing really, but generally you don't have to worry about resizing too. What is going on here? It wasn't doing that before, was it? Who's to know? It's in beta still too, so don't judge this too hard. Actually, it's probably because I put it underneath, because I had this originally on its own side, and I think that it worked better. No. Oh, you can really throw it around if you're fast. Wow, yeah. Let's see if we can get further over there. I don't think this will affect your games at all, because generally people don't have to resize anyway. You only have to deal with that on like Windows and Mac, and no one wants to make games for those anymore. So, and no one wants to make a windowed game for that anyway. So, but what I was going to say is I like the fact that the resolution stuff is in there, because one of the challenges that I was actually trying to solve when I was working on my own UI system and anchoring system was resolution independence. And what I mean by that is sometimes you want certain elements to be the same size physically on every device, and that is really tough to do. Because you need to know the DPI of the device, and that's hard to actually figure that out. And so this looks like it has like a guesswork system, and you can make it resolution independent, which means that you can have a button that's literally 1 inch by 1 inch, and if you're on an iPhone, it'll take up an inch by an inch on that screen, and then if you're on like iPad, it'll take up an inch by an inch on that screen. And obviously that's going to take up more of your screen real estate on the phone version, but you still want it to take up that extra real estate because your thumbs have not changed size between devices. And so your button should actually still cater to the size of the player's thumbs. And most games currently do not. They currently just use a percentage system. It's fine. It resizes a little, but we don't worry about it. But it would be nice to actually be able to do that entirely. So we'll probably do an episode on how to actually set that up on here, because it looks like it's actually possible now. They've got layout groups. That's cool. Grid layout group. I'm curious what this does. So padding, spacing, child alignment. So if I put this, say, on the panel, let's create a grid layout group on the panel. And let's put the button on here. Aha! It worked. So like if I just duplicate this button a whole bunch of times, you get a grid layout. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. And so now we can change on the panel itself, we can change how much we want in here. So we could make the cell size like 50, and now they fit more of them. It did some really weird resizing on the buttons, but it did work. I wonder why... Like, this worked perfectly. I have a feeling that maybe if we hit run on this, it'll fix up the text. Let's find out. Nope, didn't. Oh, child alignment. Middle center. Oh, I see. No, that's not what we want. Start corner upper left. That's nice. We can do a lot of cool stuff. Add some padding. So at 100 by 100 it worked just like perfectly. That was the default. How big is the button? Well, it says how big it is here now. Let's see, maybe the text is set up wrong. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make this 50 by 50 and see if we can fix the problem. So if we go to the text here and we say horizontal overflow wrap, truncate.
We're changing the width and height to 50 by 50.
Oh, good call.
-25.
So that fixed it. Interesting. Grid layout group. Alright, so it looks like it's not going far enough down, or the way that we had the text values set up was not appropriate. So, like, wait, if we change this to anchor to the center, and now we... Here, let's actually now delete these and duplicate these a little bit. And then we resize the panel now. We go like 100. And we go 20, 25. How about 25? There we go. Okay, so the problem before was by default these buttons that we were setting up, these ones were just from the UI button thing. The text is actually not set up properly. It's set up as an anchor into the corner as opposed to an anchor in the center. And fixing that appears to have fixed our problem with resizing. So that's cool. So that's exciting. We've got grid layouts. That's awesome. Let's see if we can make a scrolling grid layout. Let's see if we can do something with scrolling. We're gonna go layout. Actually, let's do just a vertical layout group as opposed to a horizontal, and let's get rid of the grid. So remove components. So now we've got a bunch of buttons, and do we have more than fit on the screen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I have a feeling this will fit all of them no matter how many we make. So if I just keep making them, yeah, it'll just keep fitting them. So, spacing, child alignment. So let's see if we can make it so that we can make some sort of scrolling thing. Miscellaneous, canvas renderer, canvas group UI. Let's see what this scroll rect does. Actually, let's not do it from there. Let's do create UI. Oh, they only have scroll bar. Yeah, that doesn't really help us. So let's UI scroll rect. So content, none, rect transform. So the content will be, I'm going to create, see if I just put itself in here, it's probably going to cause some problems. Alright, movement type, elastic. Alright, so I think because the content fits within the panel, I'm not even sure. I have no idea how this is supposed to be set up. Let's see what the comments have to say. I wonder if people actually... You like what?
I like that they had elasticity and deceleration built into it.
Yeah, that's going to be huge once we figure out how to use it. So, let's see what we got. View all comments. Gonna watch till Sims 4 releases. Can't see your screen. That was a long time ago. Way faster. I'm a desktop developer. Cool. I'm glad someone answered that. Why you have to do this before bedtime? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone, that we do the show so late. It's late for us, too.
There's almost always a comment of someone saying, yeah, I finally caught this live.
Yeah, there is. It's true. Alright, so panel. I'm going to create another panel. UI panel. I'm going to put this panel in that panel. And we're going to take this panel and we're going to put the layout, no, UI scroll rect, and we're going to give it its child as the transform. Yeah, it's still not happy, is it? Probably asking a lot doing a layout group and scrolling at the same time, but
well, the layout group keeps everything on the screen, so maybe there's nothing to scroll.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I just love that this stuff just works now. I don't know how excited people are about this, but I'm actually super excited because this is way better than what we had before in Unity, and it's not as I feared. I was worried that it was going to be really messed up, like in GUI style arrangement, but it's actually not too bad. And we've got a lot of niceties built in already. I'm going to see what scroll rect Unity UI scroll rect. I'm not going to watch a tutorial while we do a tutorial on here. You scroll horizontally or vertically to create masked spaces with hidden content in your UI. I'm sure that information would probably be very valid, and if you guys want to figure this out, go ahead and watch this video. As I said, I'm not going to watch a video in a video right now. Just too weird. I'm not going to worry about scroll rects. It looks like I need to kind of toy with this or actually watch a tutorial. Actually, maybe we can do it. Let's see. If we set this up...
What if you turn off vertical layout, the vertical layout group?
Okay, we're going to turn off the vertical layout group.
Or delete it or whatever and space out the buttons more so they're going off screen.
Alright, let's do that. So I'm going to space one of these buttons out further. We're just going to create... We're just going to move it. Oops, this is not the scene. Just going to move it, like, down. And then hit play. Nope, nothing. Of course, it might actually be because the panel itself doesn't fit. Yeah, I didn't set a scroll bar yet. So let's try doing this. So there are panels the right size, and then hit play. There we go.
Good call.
Got it working. So basically, if you have a panel... Oh, perfect. So what we'll do is we'll create this really long scroll bar list thing.
So you probably could keep the...
Yeah, and then what
layout.
we can do is we can just turn on the vertical layout on this again. So just layout, vertical layout group, and then we start the scrolling here. And then we hit play.
Wow, this is so easy when you know it.
Oh my goodness. I am so happy with this. Oh, wow. Wow, that was stupid easy. Alright, let's see about masking. Let's try something trickier. What we're going to do is we're going to make this panel smaller. We're going to make it, like, not take up the whole screen here. We're going to just do that. That is... Did you see the snapping? It automatically had center snap and alignment snap. That is incredible. So now we've got this thing, and we can see that it's not culling the buttons here. So let's see if we've got a masking option that'll allow for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go... I saw something that said mask. I swear I saw it in here. Mask. Here we go. Oh! Was that it? Woo! Yeah! Quick, let's make a UI game. What are we gonna make? I want to make a UI game now. Like, let's make some Diablo BS. Let's do some.
When you were talking about having the panel in world space not connected to the screen,
Yeah.
I was already thinking about making a game where you walk up to a computer and then you
shows it
control
on
someone
the
on the computer, and they walk up to a computer, and there's a UI on the computer inside the computer inside the computer or something.
This reminds me of my Gold Farmer game. Did I ever show you that game?
No.
Oh, so this is before Unity. Well, not before Unity. Unity came way before I started using it. But I made I should show it to you sometime. It's really stupid. But I made a game that simulates gold farming. And the way it works is, like, it's like this really stupid MMO. I even have this little chat system that, like, scrolls random chat and stuff. And you basically, like, go out and mine gold, and then you go back and sell it. But you could swipe the screen left or right, and it would just create a new instance. And so you could 2-box or 3-box or 4-box or inbox it. And that would be really fun to do kind of like that internal, like, Second Life, Third Life stuff going on, where you, like, go into the game, and then you go deeper, and then you go deeper. I don't know. Just what you said reminded me of that for some reason.
I was just thinking, I wonder if they have a script that allows the user to drag a piece of the UI around.
Oh. Wait, what do you mean? Like, I see what you're saying. Like,
do you know if they have anything like that?
I don't know. That's not something you usually need. But that's, so you're talking about, like, make it so that when we hit play, you can move, like, a button element or something?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Yeah, I think you'd have to write a script for that. I don't think it would be too hard to script that, but as a matter of fact, since it's actually a game object, I'm sure that it's nearly effortless to script that, because if we just go here and we just, like, pick a button and move it, it just moves, right? Yeah. Which means that all we would need to make this work would be to just literally create a script that just moves the game object around. So it looks like it obeys all the rules too. So, like, when we moved it over to the side, we clipped it. I can't believe we just added clipping mask. You just click mask and you're done. And the only option is show mask graphic, which just makes it so that, I don't know what that does. I guess it just means that it renders whatever's on the panel. Yeah, that's all that means. That's the only option, and then it just worked. It just assumed, oh yeah, you just want this panel to... That's so cool. If I remove this, does it still work? No, it does not. Nothing works at that point. So I'm just playing with it right now. So image, what is this image? It's just... So it needs to have an image for the mask to work. Does that mean that it's actually doing this based... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Really? Okay, we gotta test something. I need something with an edge. Actually, no, that already proves that I'm wrong. I was hoping that maybe it used the alpha of the image to determine what to draw, but it looks like this is drawing slightly outside the bounds of the alpha here, so that's not how it works. Yeah. And we have acceleration already, and it's already good values. Like, these defaults are actually, these feel great. Maybe decelerate a little bit faster, I don't know. Let's try 0.5. Wait, that's slower, I think. 0.01. Yeah, that was definitely... So lower the better. There, that's not crazy. You can still get to where you need to go.
Is it signed?
Will it blend? Minus. It appears to take 0 value when you put it to negative. That's nice of them. As opposed to it just constantly accelerating while scrolling. Yeah.
Until you get to the end of the... the scroll area.
That is just so amazing that that worked out that nicely. And let's say at some point you're like, oh, we have too many things here. We're just instead going to use a different layout here because we need more buttons. So we'll just change it to a grid layout group. And we'll get rid of the vertical layout group. And padding. Wait, why is this not taking up the whole screen? I just found it weird that... Oh, wait, yeah, this is a sub-panel. That's taking up the full size, that's right. That panel is smaller, width-wise. So, let's just make this panel a little bit wider. It's the easiest way to do that. I'm just going to grab this. There we go. We'll recenter it. Oh, that is so awesome. And now we have a scrolling button group. That is so awesome. We see this edge thing just because we didn't put any padding whatsoever, so if we put proper padding on the sides here, as a matter of fact, we could probably use the values that we had from... As a matter of fact, let's use those values. Let's go ahead and look at the panel here. Sprite editor, we're looking at 7, 6, 8, alright, 7, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8, 6, 7. So if we were to do 7, 8, wait, 7, 8, and then 7, 6. So now this will be right within the windows, perfect. And if we resize this just right, yep, it's still within the window. So now we've got a nice even edge on everything. That is awesome. Start scrolling at the top. That's so cool. Alright, we got 10 minutes left. What should we do in the last 10 minutes? Best way to import 2D top-down maps and implement physics. Using empties to make the colliders for the walls. Don't know. I think Cinecat is probably helping you out. Legend Seeker X. I hope hopefully, if you have a longer version of your question, and you feel like emailing me, go ahead and email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com, and I'll try and help you with your problem. But with what you've described so far, I mean, like what Cinecat was telling you seems right, but it's very basic answers for what he mentioned is a very complex problem. Simple question, complicated answer. It's very true. It doesn't have to be that complicated, though. Don't get discouraged over it. It's actually not that big of a deal. It's just getting it set up and working is sometimes tricky. So I can just duplicate. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm just gushing over this thing. I'm so happy people don't have to use NGUI anymore. Because NGUI is awful. Is there a way I can make this group resize based on its child elements? That is the question I have at this point. Because right now, see how we kind of had to manually size this thing. So like if I size it to here, we won't be able to scroll through all the buttons that we have. See, it ends at the ending there. So I wonder if there's a way for it to take on the child... layout, rect transform canvas, content size fitter. What does this do? Min size. Oh, wait, that did something very strange. So if we just do the vertical fit here, and we just leave the menu, yeah, I can't actually change that fit now. Oh, that's cool. So now if I just add more buttons, does it? Oh, it does. And so now we can scroll, and we should be able to see clean edge, and all right, there we go. Yes, it is possible for it to automatically size to the content that it contains, and evidently all you need to do is content size fitter for that. What a appropriately named object, actually, when I think about it. Content size fitter. Sounds like something I would name. But it's accurate, right? Like, it's what we wanted. So the only thing that's tricky here is, like, I think the reason min size worked the way it did is because right now we're doing a grid layout, right? And the grid layout doesn't specify how many across we have. And so really the minimum size horizontally is the size of one. But I don't know why the minimum size vertically is not the size of one for that same reason.
Well, the grid fits to the width that you have, and then it adds more vertically.
This is true. This is true.
Maybe there's a way to change
Start axis is probably the reason. So if we do vertical now and then we set this to min size. Yeah, that didn't work. I don't know, but that's very cool. And actually, if we had anchored this at the top here, then I think that if we added contents, let's delete some of these buttons. All right, so now we don't even have a reason to scroll, so we'll see. We can't scroll, right? And the window fills in perfectly. So if we just duplicate these a few times, hit play.
Oh, now duplicate them while it's running.
All right, duplicate them while it's running. Good test. All right, so we're going to scroll down, and then I'm going to duplicate, and then duplicate again, and then I'm going to try to scroll down, and it worked. And let's get rid of some of these buttons. Let's get rid of the last button we just made. Let's do it while it's on the screen. Let's see what happens. I imagine it will re-scroll so that those four will be at the bottom. It even did it smoothly.
Yeah, it even did the...
It did a little animation
thing.
Huh. Well, this is solid. That's all I have to say is the Unity 4.6 UI system is really freaking solid. And it's all game object based. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy this makes me because like the old UI system like had no concept of game objects. It was like this entirely separate, hey, let's ask this thing to render some stuff for us. You know what I'm talking about, right? And you pretty much had to drive everything in script. And now it's just you just drive the scripts that you want on there and it does it and it's great. That's amazing. What other toys do we have here? Physics 2D. Okay, so image, text, raw image, mask, button, input field, scroll bar, scroll rect. Let's hook up a scroll bar. Let's just do a scroll bar real quick.
There were GUI game objects before, but they were very limited.
Yeah. I'm going to create UI scroll bar. And we're going to put it inside of our panel here. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate place for it or not. Oh, wait, no, we definitely don't want it in the panel because it's trying to... here, let's actually look at that. So it added it to our grid. there's our slider. So
it's
really,
actually an element in the grid. It's the same as all the buttons.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to put this on the panel above. So this thing is now not part of that. And we're going to actually put it so that I can see it. I'm just going to put it 0, 0. There we go. There's our thing. And we're going to make this a scroll bar, direction, top to bottom, I think is what we want. Or possibly bottom to top, I don't know. Bottom to top, let's call it that. And then let's resize this thing so it looks kind of like a scroll bar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our panel where we saw that wonderful little thing that said, not here. Wait, yeah, it is here. Wait, how do we scroll things? Oh, it's in here. So we got the scroll rect here, and we're just going to give it the horizontal scroll bar of our scroll bar. Actually, vertical scroll bar, right there. Then we hit play.
You resized it.
Awesome. And so it's self-sizing, so if we go to our buttons here and we just duplicate away, there it goes. As we add 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. We can still scroll with this, and now we've got a scroll bar as well. This is just amazing. I'm going to tell you, when I spent an hour with NGUI, I did not do this much. I did not get this much done and working at all. Like, when I say I didn't get this much working, I mean I was really fighting it and didn't get much working at all. That is just awesome. Alright, so we really just covered UI. I think this was a good episode. Good way to kind of get back into this, because it's been a while. I'm just going to call this test. And I'll get this zipped up and so people can play with it at some point too. It's not a very particularly interesting project, but you know, maybe it'll help someone. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Why do I feel like I'm squished for some reason? Or maybe I'm just too much beard. My aspect ratio is off. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you had fun. I did. Email me pushypixels@pushypixels if you have any questions. Sorry, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. The .com, I guess, was inferred, but it shouldn't have been. And if you don't have questions, don't email me. You know, that's fine. Or if you just have things that aren't a question, but you still want to email me, feel free. It's whatever. And Phil's arm is still in recovery. He will be joining us next week, is what he said. So hopefully that will be true. And so in the meantime, just send more get well to @Magmalemur on Twitter, MAGMALEMUR. And you guys have a great night. And play around with Unity 4.6. And if you run into anything really cool, feel free to tweet me or message me and say you found something really cool or you did something really cool. So
get well, Phil.
All right. Yeah. I'd say that worked. I'm still kind of in awe at the fact that we got a grid layout scrolling system that automatically resizes and has a scroll bar in an hour, and I had pretty much literally never touched this before. And when I say pretty much, I mean I have used the 4.6 beta for about a week now, and by a week I mean about an hour. So I don't know. I just installed it and just started playing with it. I just mostly was excited about the create empty game object. I hadn't even gotten into the UI stuff yet. So, and I had just seen the Power Flower on. I love that term. I want to keep using it. I want to keep that one alive at the Unity presentation.
And they have a pretty easy border image.
Oh yeah, nine tiles thing. That was effortless. What's really nice about that too is we didn't do this in the show, but that image that we had was kind of a big image, right? And so it had this large area in the middle that we really didn't need. We could actually resize that thing down so that there's just a pixel representing the middle of the image. And that way you don't have to have all that extra space in your atlas, which is actually kind of the weird thing. I'm going to pull up on the screen here. We're in banter mode, so we can do whatever we want, right? I was actually kind of surprised by, and I'm not complaining. This is free stuff. Kenny's awesome. I'm really not complaining, Kenny, but this doesn't help people. The fact that you've got this sprite sheet, this is great. It proves that it fits within small constraints, but each of these really should only be their borders plus 1 pixel in size. Even if there was a gradient in the background here, you would just want the pixel gradient of that vertical or horizontal gradient, whatever you had, and then nothing else, because it'll automatically stretch properly. But but not a big deal. But so this thing, this whole atlas, if you removed all the center area stuff, would fit in like, I don't know, probably this big an area, maybe a little bit bigger. So you could dramatically decrease your size using a 9-cut system. Like, these really were just designed to be placed in a game without resizing at all, which is great. This is perfect for that kind of thing, but it's not great for if you want something that's a resizable window and you don't want to take up all that extra real estate that's just literally, hey, we're brown. Still brown. Yep, brown, 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 brown. So... put the face back on.
He did have the those like cut mark things though along the border.
Yeah,
which means that it would have to be spread out if you wanted those.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, if you want these to maintain their aspects to yeah. As you saw in our test case, these kind of got blurred out nearly completely because of the stretching that we did to them. So. So yeah. I guess I'll just play around with buttons here until... Actually, let's just double check the comments real quick, and then... If only Unity PSM could be updated. They'll update that eventually. They really will. It's on their to-do list to get that integrated into the main Unity branch, though there will not be a separate PSM executable. So... Oh, Legend Seeker X is your first time viewing. Thank you for viewing. Seriously, that's super awesome. And hopefully you will continue to watch more episodes and stuff. Yeah, and the Unity UI thing, I'm loving it. So I'm excited. I never needed a lot of UI in my games. So quite honestly, I never was that bothered by not having it. But this is a very well organized UI system. I can already tell, and so, or at least it's a very Unity organized system, and I'm used to that, which I'm happy with that. So, yeah. All right. So that's the end of the banter. This stuff gets cut off later, for people who are new, and we may actually be cut off like while I'm talking to you, just because that's the reason that we do this. Is because when I stop streaming, it just decides to cut a random amount of time off of my videos. So
why is the stream 42 instead of like an hour and 6 minutes?
That's really scary. Thank you for noticing that. That's exceptionally scary. I'm going to hit refresh on this page. Okay. I can work with that. That's much... I'm gonna blame like Ajax or JavaScript on that one, and I'm just going to call it. Thank you for saying that though, because if I did stop streaming before and it cut off 15 minutes of the show, yeah.
That's a very inaccurate counter. I mean, yeah. I could see them losing a second over the course of several hours or something. Maybe. That would still be very inaccurate.
We were thread starving it, man. Obviously, like Chrome just could not handle it, man. It was thread starved. I don't know. I have no idea why it did that. Did it start at negative 15 or something? Was that something that we... Oh, well. Anyway. See ya, folks.